It was just engaged, scrum, try to get the angle on him, and then I just felt a pop, and then that was it. It was
any weakness after
no,
that? No,
like
just a pop.
My arms were fine. So as the game carried on, like I could just feel like the extreme stiffness. So,
C1, huh?
Yeah, C1. So from being able to move to just being like rigid like this was the main concern. So like after the game, still went to the doctor. I actually felt like, because I haven't played much rugby up until then, I came back from a knee injury, and going to the doctor, I said, listen, doc, I think I might have either tweaked a muscle or I just like maybe broke a vertebra or something. Something happened, like
maybe just broke a vertebra, just something small like that.
Yeah, I know that.
It's like all relative. You know, someone just have a little fall, and just maybe one of my neck vertebrae is broken. But yeah, just check it out. Put some ice on.
Put some ice on it.
Shift Happens with Richard Sutton, powered by First Light.
Welcome to the Shift Happens podcast with me, Richard Sutton. Here we speak to people who have navigated extraordinary pressure, adversity and change. Moments that tested them, transformed them, and ultimately shaped who they became. Join me as we explore what made their shift happen. He's played for the Stormers. He's played for the Springboks. He was part of the notorious bomb squad. He's lifted the World Cup trophy not once but twice. And it all came to an end overnight. On the podcast today is Stephen Kitshoff. Steve, September 2024, Kimberley, another scrum. And it's a place, you probably spend more time in a scrum than anywhere else in your life. And then something shifts in that environment. But your nature is to keep going, to push through, and that's what you do, and you press on forward. But then we fast forward 2 months, and you're sitting in a room, you're with a specialist, and the specialist says to you, you won't play again. How did you feel in that moment?
Yeah, it's tough. It's like as you said, like it's something I've been doing my entire life, and something I was really excited to do every day as well. And then one moment happens by doing something I've done a million times, and it just changes everything. And sitting in that specialist room and hearing the words like, you're probably never going to play rugby again. It's like the first question that went through my head was, what's next? What's next for myself? How am I going to make sure that I can provide for myself? I can provide for my wife. I've got a house I need to maintain. And then all those things went through my head, and then I just like went from rugby player to trying to find the next thing that makes me excited, and threw all my attention into business and making sure that the things that I'm at that stage, I just go flat out into that.
Yeah, before we started here, we had this conversation about reinvention. And so often in our lives, we have time to reinvent and reimagine ourselves. So we know that your career would end at a certain stage, you'd have your farewell match, you go through all the protocols. And in that process, you're going to be looking for the next thing. And you've lived your whole life in a certain way, in a certain context, with a certain vision, with a certain goal, with a certain aspiration. You've achieved everything you set out to, and probably more. And then here you got a moment saying that the reinvention is now not on your timeline.
Yeah, and I think every rugby player hopes for that. He hopes that he can go out on his own terms, that he can play his last game, that he can actually announce like a proper retirement halfway through the year and say, listen, in 6 months from now I'm going to be done. So there's a nice planning phase that goes into that. Unfortunately mine didn't happen that way, and you almost get thrown into the deep end, and you go, listen, how am I going to manage to get myself out of this? How am I going to put my focus into the next thing and not become depressed about the fact that I can't play rugby, not radically try and change my life to compensate for this feelings, and then reimagine. It's like, for me it was, luckily in my head I always had this idea that rugby is going to end. I knew that it's going to end, but never knew it's going to end this quickly. For me, I've always thought about the next thing. I've always thought about how do I set myself up post rugby? How do I create something that I can either if I need to walk away from rugby, that I can just fully invest myself in and say, listen, this is the thing that I want to do. This is what I'm passionate about. It might not be the it might not be the best thing to do, but it feels right at that stage. And then from there, it was just that within a day, I had to make that decision to switch my mindset from I'm going to wake up in the mornings now to go and train to I'm going to wake up to try and build this business or build a new brand. Build this new brand. And that was I think when we speak about reimagining or reinventing yourself, that's what went through my head.
But it's almost a metaphor for life at the moment, because with AI, with so many jobs disappearing, when I say a couple of years ago, 5-6 years ago, a team at Oxford come up with a study and they're looking at 702 professions and they're looking at relevance. How many of those professions are going to exist in the next 10 years? And they do this analysis, half are going to go.
Yeah, and
we have to reimagine quickly now.
Yeah, things have to happen much quicker than it used to. And yeah, I think from going from a sporting background to a business to something in business, there's a lot of lessons that you learn that you can try and translate with just different lingo, different terminology, and that's something I don't think AI can teach you. It can't teach you those lessons, and that's what I try and comfort myself in, saying, listen, AI can't take away the experiences I've gained through rugby, the things I've learned about leadership, the things I've learned about hard work, sacrifice, giving up moments in my life for the better good. And up until when AI can take that over, I'm still pretty safe where I'm sitting.
I think the human element is always safe, fortunately. So going back to where it all started, Somerset West, Poorest, it's rugby everywhere. Who were you before rugby became everything?
So when I was a kid, grew up. My mom always said I grew up with the rugby ball under my arm. If it wasn't rugby in the winter, it was cricket in the summer. So I've always had this attraction for sport and physical activity. So I was always outside. I was always either playing with the dog or playing cricket with my brother or rugby with the friends in the street. So that was always been my personality, even though rugby was the one thing that took over towards the latest stages of my teenage years and then into my adulthood. Sport and physical stuff has always been my thing. I wasn't a standout student, but I did what I had to do to make sure that I can go play sports in the afternoon.
But your career is also, it's been an unbelievable career. So you Stormers at 18, debut at 19. What did success mean to you then? You're the rising star. There's so much hype around you.
Yeah, I think for many people it means many different things. But for me at that stage was just creating a career out of it. As you said, I made my debut when I was 19, straight out of school, got a professional contract. But that didn't mean much until you've created longevity in the career. And that was the only thing I thought about was, how do I play rugby up until I'm 30, 35? And that was the goal at that age, was to make it a proper career, and then secondly is to try and achieve the highest colours, if you can put it like that. I wanted to play for the Springboks, and for the first couple of years I didn't achieve that. I got injured when I was in 2013. I got injured. I got a seriously bad foot injury. And then that put a little bit of a damper on it, because you're just catching your strides now. You understanding the game. You're understanding this professional era. You're playing with legends of the game, and now you're out for a full season. And then haven't played Springboks up until then. Had to come back. Played another couple of seasons. Had to go overseas first, and then only made my Springbok debut. So for me, it was like fighting those challenges and getting through those challenges of injury. Not being selected, actually moving country to actually achieve the ultimate goal of playing for the Springboks and finding that success in my rugby career.
It's what you say now, I think everyone can resonate with, is that you have this initial success and probably don't stop to celebrate it.
Yeah.
You make your debut for the Stormers. All you're thinking about is longevity, sustainability, making a career, Springbok jersey, Springbok blazer. And that passes you by, just the achievement or what you're able to accomplish. And I think that's probably the lesson that we can take from that, is that we have to celebrate the wins as well as work towards the future. And that's for our own happiness and fulfillment. But you mentioned overseas, that's to France.
Yeah.
How did France change you?
Yeah, I think before we can get to that story, like celebrating those little achievements, when I made my Stormers debut, John de Villiers was captain that day, and we stood in a circle, and he pointed out to me and he said, listen, I just want to congratulate Stephen on his first game for the Stormers. The easy part was getting here. The hard part is staying here. And that almost stuck with me for my entire life. It was because it was easy to get to a certain point. It was easy for me to become a professional rugby player, but the hard work was to stay a rugby player.
It just began.
Yeah. And coming back to your question on France was an opportunity for me to go and live abroad, experience something new, getting myself out of my comfort zone. So, as we said earlier, I played 5 years for the Stormers. I had a massive injury in between. Started getting very comfortable in that scenario. I never got selected for the Springbok, so there was an opportunity for me to go abroad and go play my trade in France, and then went to a club in Bordeaux.
Roughly 2016.
Yeah, end of 2015, 2016, that was the transition we went over. Got there, couldn't speak a lick of French.
Did guys try to speak English to you? Or,
yeah, we were very fortunate. Bordeaux, as a city, it's got a lot of like European and UK expats, so there's a lot of guys that own like English pubs and Irish pubs. So when I spent my time in the pubs, I could speak to the owners, and they were all
thank heavens for the bars.
Exactly. But then got thrown into this new environment and really not understanding anything about the top 14 with their domestic rugby competition, and then all of a sudden starting to play against Tongans, Georgians, guys who live and breathe scrummaging, and coming from Super Rugby back in the day, which is a very attacking, quick, running-based game, going into the top 14, which is a very set-piece orientated game. So got my ass handed to me a couple of times in the beginning, and then I had to quickly learn and quickly had to adapt to the style of scrummaging, quickly had to adapt to the way that the referees blow the game, the way that they coach it. And that transition happened very, very quickly from someone who's very comfortable with English, and I can listen to the referees, I can work with the South African coaches, I can actually scrum against the New Zealanders. But then going into a country where there's almost no rules when it comes to scrummaging, and quickly have to adapt. And that learning curve for me was exceptional, because from being very comfortable, probably never going to play for the Boks because I'm not improving, to
forced improvement
and rapidly. And that experience carried me through my Springbok career, because then it gave me the opportunity to go, listen here, we're playing against the French this weekend. I know what X, Y, and Z is doing. We're playing against Georgia. I know how these guys operate. We're playing against England, because you played, back then we played in like the old Heineken Cup. You come up to against these guys. So I had answers to a lot of these questions that the Springbok coaches and the South African guys didn't know back then. And that experience helped me a lot going into the rest of my career.
So it's amazing how one of the most challenging periods turned out to be the catalyst to your Springbok jersey in many respects. But there was another thing. You actually said so many things are fascinating. The one thing that you keep reinforcing was adapting. And if you look at the cleanest definition of resilience, now resilience is basically being successful in the future no matter what happens. Is this ability to adapt. It's to learn, to adapt, to mold, to sculpt, to reimagine how you do things. And the quicker you do that, the more successful you'll be. And you learned that the hard way. But there was another thing that's fascinating, and it talks to high performance. So if you say, what is the definition of high performance? Most people say living up to your potential. So Stephen, are you a high performance athlete? I mean, you operate at the high, you're more than high performance, but that's aside. But yes, you've lived up to your potential. But in the world that you operate in, you don't operate in high performance, because sometimes living up to your potential is not enough.
Yeah.
You operate in elite performance. It's to be the best when competing against the best. And that's not about your potential, it's about what others believe and expect of you.
Interesting story, like after 2019 World Cup, when we won, myself, Jacques Ninabe, and a couple of other Springboks were at like at a media day, and one of the questions they asked Jock was, where to from here? Like, you guys are world champions, you beat, you higher ranked in the All Blacks at this stage, where to from here? And Jock's answer, also something that stuck with me for a very long time, is we the guys with the targets on our backs now. So we need to be if we want to stay number one in the world, if we want to stay the best, we all have to go into those places where it's dark, where no one's been before. We need to always be the standard setters. We always need to be the guys pushing further. We always have to be the team that's always fitter, stronger, more intelligent. And that concept of pushing yourself into the dark, or into the unknown, was something that stuck out for me, because as a elite rugby player or high performance rugby player, and we speak about it often in training, it's like you only as good, or your default is your highest level of preparation. So we speak about we training at a certain level, so we know if things go bad, this is where we drop to. So we always push the standards for our training. And then you start realizing, if you're playing against a team that is a little bit better than you, or are willing to go into those dark places, they're always going to beat you, because even if you push them to their max, they've got something extra, because they know they've been pushing into that dark spaces. And for me, it's like, when it came to everything I did after that, rugby-wise, it was always trying to find, not to reinvent the wheel or to really do something out of that is completely blindside from, but it was just if it came to scrummaging, preparation, fitness, I always thought, how do I just go that 2% more, and just find something in myself that is just, I haven't seen before, I haven't felt before. If it is a conditioning block, just how can I push a little bit harder, and just in normal terms. But that was something that stuck out for me, and I think that's where they start speaking about elite performance, or in my head, is to say, listen, yeah, as an athlete, are you willing to go to those places that's unknown? Are you willing to push your body to a place where you've never been before?
And it's living beyond what you think your potential is.
Exactly.
Was there ever a version of you outside of rugby, or is rugby just that's it?
I would like to say yes, because I think a lot of my close friends are all guys that's outside of the game of rugby. So I had a proper life. Me and the missus, we enjoy going out, we enjoy glasses of wine, we really enjoy the things that life has to offer, especially when we went to France. It was quite eye-opening in the way that we really adapted quickly to what the French lifestyle was, and we really enjoyed it. We really enjoyed the culture, the food, the wine, but then there was also on the other side the rugby. And I always, like, I don't know how people see me, but I always like to refer to that I'm not just Steven the rugby player. I've got a lot more things happening in my life at the moment. So I would love to say yes, because there is a version of me that can put rugby aside and go, listen, this is actually who I am.
You know, it's when you talk to any specialist, like it could be in the legal profession, it could be in any domain, to become that specialist, to become the best in the world at what you do, which you have, sometimes you have to leave something behind of yourself. If you were not to have played rugby, what should you have done?
I really enjoy business. I really enjoy creating something that, really enjoy creating something special outside of the game as well. So for me, I think probably something in to do with business. I haven't thought that far, and I think for my transition from rugby to what I'm doing now, it was always been business transition. So I've never thought if I didn't play rugby would I become a lawyer, doctor, architect. But I enjoy business. I went when I just finished school. I was like really into property, and then from there into the business side.
You've been part of one of the most successful teams in the history of sport, not just rugby, sport. Not just the winning, but it's consistent dominance, under pressure, bigger stage. What does it feel like from the inside?
Yeah, it's warm and fuzzy.
There's no way, it's hard.
I think I was very fortunate, if I can put it like that. I was part of a unbelievable era of rugby players. I've been fortunate enough to be coached by some of the greatest coach to ever exist. I've played some of the greatest world beaters that you've ever seen. So I was very fortunate and to be part of an era of guys that understood what it took. They all had extreme ownership. They were aligned to the common goal, and they were just willing to work as a unit to make whatever the mission and the goal was to create success out of that. So I feel very, very blessed and fortunate to be part of such a team, and I think being part of such a team, it just drove me even to become better. I don't want to stagnate. I don't want to be left behind. So for me, it was just all about going, working, staying involved, keeping up with the pace of the team, and it was just an incredible feeling.
What do people on the outside not really understand about this?
I think sometimes, for me, it feels people on the outside would look at the Springboks and they would only see those 80 minutes on a Saturday. But the amount of hours and work that goes into being successful for those 80 minutes is 100 times more. The amount of hours we spend physically behind a computer, watching, analyzing, understanding our opposition, understanding our own stuff. The hours spent on just working on detail. The physical training hours is not that impressive. Like, we only spend up to 300 minutes of physical training, but everything that goes with that it's so much information that you have to consume in a week, so much understanding, so much learning, and I think sometimes when it comes to understanding what a rugby player goes through, or any elite person goes through, is the amount of effort that's not seen by the public. It's
the unseen effort.
The unseen effort, and then being praised for those 80 minutes or that quick event that they do on a weekend. And I think that is what makes it so impressive.
And you described like a fundamental lesson in life, whether it's in business, whether it's in sport, whether it's in arts, whatever it is. And you described ownership. The team had ownership.
Yeah.
You described effort.
Yeah.
You described unity, shared mission, shared purpose. You described like so many of these kind of fundamental principles that guide us to success.
Yeah.
And we'll go there a little bit later, but I think that's the lesson. I mean, that's a lesson that we can all learn and all grow from. At that level, what separates a good team from one that wins twice?
A big theme throughout our 2019 to 23 journey was alignment. And it wasn't just alignment in saying, listen, this is the goal, and this is what we need to achieve. And everyone must have the same goal. It was alignment on team selection. It was alignment on the way we play. Alignment on if there's innovation brought into the team, how do the guys adapt? Guys who don't like what we're doing now is normally the guys who either fall away, or if they don't like it, they can speak up, and then we'll find a solution. So, like, for us, from going from a really solid team 2019 that had ability to win, going through those COVID years, going through the British Irish Lions, and getting to 2023, everyone was aligned on what the plan was. Everyone bought into the plan. Everyone understood what they had to do in the week to stay involved with the Springboks. Guys who fell off the wagon got brought back, but if they did it again, they were gone. Guys who didn't buy into it were gone. And then Russia just kept enforcing that and said, listen, guys, we're a great team, but for us to go back to back, we need to evolve. You need to buy into the evolution. You need to buy into what it takes. You need to buy into the hard work. We're going to be a fitter team. We're going to be a stronger team. We're going to be more educated. And if guys didn't like that, they were moved out, and then just the core best guys, or the aligned stay together. And we often speak about it when it comes to team selection as well. And I often get asked this question as well when it comes to business and employing people is, how did the team selection work? Or how did the protocol work? And picking the best players wasn't always the solution, because the best player is someone that might think he's a bit better than that plan that we're going to put out the weekend. He's the best guy for the job, or he's going to do this, or he's going to go out of plan. It wasn't about picking the best guys, it's about picking the right guys. The right guys, the guys who buy in, the guys who's got no ego, the guys who's willing to work his arse off. And that's what I think when it came to that alignment of us as a group and as a team, those are the guys who bought in. It wasn't necessarily the best ones, it was the right people for the job. And that was a big part of our success.
So we've seen that so many times in football, where they go for these big spending sprees and they hire the best of the best, and egos just dominate, and the team generally implodes.
And you're so right. It's like even in my daily life now, you don't always I don't always remember all the terminology, and I don't always remember like everything exactly how it happened. But as we talk about it, and as I live my daily life now, a lot of these things are still in play. Like when things go tough with bomb squad, for instance, the composure and the comms start ramping up, which is
the bomb squad, the beer.
The beer, yeah.
Okay, just to clarify.
Yeah, but it's amazing to think about it, and as you're right, like I've been part of for 6 years of a team that lived those values, and it was just ingrained in me for a very long time. So I'm very fortunate.
It is a blessing. What did you learn in that environment that you'll carry through to the next chapter of your life?
Yeah, I think probably for me, as we mentioned earlier, it's like the extreme ownership you had to take to make sure that you stayed in your position. It was something that stands out as well. It's like we spoke about a lot of things earlier. It's the ownership, the alignment of a group, the values, the comms, like everything that makes a team successful. And for me, it's like rugby has been such a blessing in not just the way that I could create a career from it, earn money from it, create a bit of success. For me, it was the lessons I've learned every day. There was as you said, when things got tough, building that resilience, working in a team environment, learning how to lead from behind, as you would say.
Enable others, yeah.
And those things are like little nuggets of lessons that sometimes if I get put on the spot, like I don't have all the answers to these things, but they're just ingrained in me. And I think that is probably why I'm so thankful for rugby and what I've went through, because it was
the greatest life lesson.
It just I think of it as an overarching, as a sport and as a team sport and a physical sport. It creates all these little things that you don't even realize, but that you take with you for a very long time. And that's what I'm most grateful and thankful for.
Do you think there's ever a point where rugby is something that stopped becoming something you did and became who you are, your identity?
Of course, I think as you live it every day, like it becomes. Everyone will always refer to you as, and when you speak about identity, it's like how you probably feel about yourself. But everyone will always refer to you as Stephen the Springbok or Stephen the Stormers guy or whatever the terminology would be. But for me, there was that aspect of my life. There was I'm here to do a job and I'm here to do it extremely well. And there was also the other side where I was with my family, or I was with my wife, or with my friends. And then I was not Stephen the rugby guy, then I was Stephen the friend, or I was the husband. And that's why I try to not make it all consuming, because you do get, within the rugby space, it's very overwhelming, and it takes your entire life. It's the only thing you think about is when you watch rugby, it's like you think, how would I apply myself in that scenario? Or if you talk about fitness, how do you apply yourself when it comes to your conditioning? And it became a lot. It's a lot to think about, and that's why I really enjoy a sport like golf, because for that 4.5 hours, or as I would tell my wife, 8 hours, that is 8 hours I spend not thinking of rugby, and I can be someone else. But yeah, it is part of my identity, but it's not my entire identity.
I think which makes this phase of your life so profound is because we have personal identities, we have relational identities with your wife, we have collective identities with the team. And now, after that visit to the doctor's office, kind of it's finding who do I want to be for the next 20, 30, 40 years. Have you wrestled with that decision?
I have. I often like when I speak at other schools or when I work with kids, the one thing that goes through my head is like, how do you see yourself? And as you said, like rugby was a big part of my life, but it wasn't the only thing that was part of my life. There was a lot of things, and I think a lot of people, in my opinion, is they would have an idea of what they want to be, but they can be so much more, if that makes sense. So they study to become a doctor, so they want to become Stephen the doctor, but you can be Stephen the doctor plus the husband plus the whatever. And I always advise, like, have multiple layers to your life. Like, don't be, because if that one thing that your idea doesn't work out, what's plan B, what's plan C? And that's why I say, like, listen, you can be multiple things. You can be a really good educator, you can be a really good student, and you can layer these things into your life with the one big goal to be the professional rugby player, but you've got all these other things that you enjoy being, and you enjoy living those values.
But what you're saying now is that we almost have to diversify our identity.
Exactly.
And that's a hard thing. It's easy to focus on one thing and evolve ourselves in one space, but it's very difficult with this diversification. I still circle back to that doctor's room. It was such a seminal moment. Well, were there any indications up until that match that you felt like I was a little fatigued, a little bit more stiff, or like was there any build up to that, or was it just my next bit, kind of not feeling it as it should? A couple of clicks here and there. Let me go check it out.
No, it was, to be honest, like your body takes so many shots while you're playing rugby, and I had not major neck issues, but I had like a bit of stiffness, recurring stiffness. So there was never a worry about being, I had to retire from it. And it was just the one moment. It was in that scrum in Kimberley.
You said one moment?
It was one moment against the Griekwas. It was just engaged, scrum, try to get the angle on him, and then I just felt a pop, and then that was it. It was
any weakness after
no,
that? No,
like
just a pop.
My arms were fine. So as the game carried on, like I could just feel like the extreme stiffness. So,
C1, huh?
Yeah, C1. So from being able to move to just being like rigid like this was the main concern. So like after the game, still went to the doctor. I actually felt like, because I haven't played much rugby up until then, I came back from a knee injury, and going to the doctor, I said, listen, doc, I think I might have either tweaked a muscle or I just like maybe broke a vertebra or something. Something happened, like
maybe just broke a vertebra, just something small like that.
Yeah, I know that.
It's like all relative. Someone just have a little fall, and just maybe one of my neck vertebrae is broken. But just check it out. Put some ice on.
Put some ice on it, or tweak the ligament or something. And he said, no, there's nothing. I can't feel any. There's no displacement, or I can't feel anything majorly wrong with it.
The C1's right at the top, like basically connects the skull to the the spinal cord's going through there.
Yeah.
I mean, a little like.
And that what was so dangerous about it. Like if there was any impingement on the nerve, it's like, or any impingement on the spinal cord, it's not the being paralyzed. It's just the lungs stop working. And then like you get serious respiratory issues. So that was why they were so nervous, the specialists and everyone involved. They said like, it's being paralyzed is one thing, but not being able to breathe is
I think they're pretty difficult scenarios, both of them.
Yeah, wow. But it's like he said, like, he says anything lower, you probably would have been paralyzed, but like if you just stop breathing, there's nothing they can do. They put you on a permanent respiratory. But that was what was so scary about it.
Yeah.
But then I went to the doctor. By the Monday, I still didn't feel better. Like my neck was still very stiff.
Had that scanned by then?
So the first scan was the Monday. So I went. It happened the Friday. The Springboks played the following day at Newlands, at DHL Stadium. against the All Blacks. And then that Saturday I still didn't feel great. Sunday I didn't feel great. The Monday I went for a scan. So on the initial scan they didn't pick much up. So they said like, listen, it might just be a muscle tweak, which is fine. So the hope is still there too.
I mean, you must have had thousands of those.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
you can't even count them.
Yeah. And then went to go see the specialist, and he did like they call like a prone test, where you in a certain position, and they take an X-ray of the joint.
So normally it's standing up. In this instance, it was lying face down.
Yeah, and taking a photo of the joint, and then that's when the bad news came. He said, "Listen, standing up, you're perfectly fine. Everything's in place, but when you in a prone test, when you're in an uncomfortable position, the ligament that holds the C1, C2 together.
It's a nuchal ligament.
Yeah, it's like
they're thick as well.
Yeah, they're thick. That snapped on the one side, so it came completely loose, and that's what created the movement in the C1 vertebra.
And that's the you had a fusion.
And that's where I had the fusion as well. So, in saying that, he's like, listen, this is extremely dangerous. Like it's respiratory issues. I can't see you ever playing without an operation. So I was like, okay. I mean, you're talking about the operation now.
Yeah. So there's still like a glimmer of hope.
There's still a glimmer of hope. And then he said, listen, just be in a neck brace for 8 weeks, and then we'll recheck from there.
Just 8 weeks in a neck brace.
In a neck brace. So I said, okay, cool, I'll do that. About 6 weeks in, he phones me, he goes, listen, just come back. I just want to have a look, just see if anything's improved. No improvement. And he said, listen, I'm going to unfortunately have to do the operation, because that was the one thing he was also nervous for, is like getting a C1 fusion is a very tricky operation for any specialist. Got that done.
Were you nervous going in, knowing that it's a tricky operation?
Yeah, very. Like, I mean, my poor wife, it was very tough for her. And I'm jokingly laughing about it, because it was luckily 18 months ago, but it's at that stage it was
touch and go.
Touch and go. Got through it, then almost had a chat with the doctor and said, listen, I know the situation is no more rugby, but is there any chance if this thing heals up that I can try? He said he wouldn't advise at all. He wouldn't give the go-ahead. It would be on my own risk. There would be no insurance company to ever back me again. So I said, okay, cool. That makes a lot of sense. And then he also said the other issue of playing rugby with a C1 that's fused is it puts so much pressure on the rest of your spine. And he said, like, if you break a C5 or something else happens to your spine, it's probably going to be something's going to go wrong.
Because you have flexibility in the spine. Yeah. And you lose it at that point.
Exactly. Everything becomes stiff.
And
he said you'll probably not be able to even look around properly. Like everyone knows, like my neck rotation is very limited. So that almost made the decision a bit easier. Like going through that entire 2-3 month process of having comms with the doc, with my wife, with my parents, with friends, with ex-teammates that went through similar spinal injuries. A guy like Julian Reelinghuis was a big voice in this entire decision making, because he also retired due to a broken neck. And his words to me was like, for me it was the most important thing was to be able to pick up my kids one day. And it wasn't something I was thinking about at that stage, because I didn't have kids. And he just said, like, I want to pick up my kids and I want to live a healthy life. And that just made the decision so much easier. It's like, why would I put myself in a scenario where it can become 10 times worse if I don't make the right decision now. And then just having that conversation again with my missus, and goes my wife and saying, listen, this is what I'm thinking. I would really love to play again, but I would prefer a healthy lifestyle and then get stuck into the stuff that we currently have on the outside. And she said, yes, do that. I would prefer you to walk around and be my husband and be there for me when I need you, and not be in a wheelchair. And I said, fair enough, then I'm done.
Was it quite an emotional, I mean, I can imagine the time to be emotional, like that the moment it's okay, I'm done, I've reconciled. You know, the couple of things that go through my mind is one is as you admit that to yourself, you're starting to think of who am I going to be next, and what am I going to do next, and how am I going to provide next. And as you said, but there's something else, and this I might be wrong in this, is that your entire life you've lived under pressure, pressure of expectation, pressure to perform. Like there has not been a minute in a week that there's no pressure on you. And as you make that decision, the pressure gets lifted.
I would almost say the opposite. I think as I made the decision, the pressure got piled on, because
different pressure.
Different pressure.
The pressure that's not known, as opposed to the pressure that's known.
Yeah, and I think that pressure of the unknown was it was something that we, as we mentioned earlier on this chat, was part of that post 2019 was to push into the unknown, and it almost sounds like we're going full circle, but that was something that I always thought about. It was like pushing myself into the unknown, becoming a better player, becoming more elite, becoming more fitter, all these nice things that we needed to do to become better. And then when you had to make the decision of going from one career to the following,
that's the vast unknown.
And that's the vast unknown. And I jokingly with a lot of people when I speak to them, and they like, just want to let you know, happy retirement. And I always say it's not retirement; it's just a change of career. It's from going from one career to the next, and that was like for a long time. That's where I felt the pressure was like it was that unknown, and then just started slowly but surely working through it.
Do you feel like there's been any grieving process? The version you were, since I'm 6 years old, that it's been this boy, this teenager, this young man, this adult.
Yeah, I think I'm still grieving, to be honest. It's you often I work a lot with ex players now, and because like with the super sport work and within the media space, and these guys, like some of these guys, also still miss the game. And like for me, it just makes so much sense, because it was, as I said, it was such a big part of my young adult life was the rugby, that when I work a varsity cup game, for instance, I still think that I want to be on the field. I still want to be that side of the white line. I don't want to sit here and hold the mic. I want to be on the field and play. So I'm still going through that, and I'm not too sure when that's going to stop. Probably never, but yeah, I still grieve, and I still miss. I miss it a lot. That I can put it like that.
Your journey going forward, and so much of what you mentioned like earlier, your ability to rapidly adapt, your ability to put in more effort, to go into the darkness. I mean, this is now, it's all those skills. They're perfectly honed for the new chapter. What is this new chapter exactly, as you understand it now? What's your journey look like?
Yeah, for me, it's a couple of things I really enjoy at the moment is being in the media space, is doing the super sport work. So for me, it's to really try and hone those skills, first of all, like is to actually on a consistent daily basis try and learn those broadcasting skills, being on TV, hosting. It's such a big thing for me now and the podcasting is helping a lot. That, and then it's just to try and find my feet within the business world, like being a founder of Bomb Squad is like understanding exactly what my day-to-day job is. It's where my day-to-day job was to play rugby and understand the game. Now it's like, okay, cool. I'm not a marketeer. I'm not a salesperson, but I'm in that position now. So
the new game.
So now I need to find my feet and say, listen here. So as we're standing currently, it's like I'm like, even though it's been like 2 years, I'm still trying to find exactly what my role is within the business space. If it's purely based as a leader or someone who closes deals or whatever it might be, I'm still, because I'm trying to dabble in everything a little bit, and I quickly realized I've got no idea when it comes to marketing. For me, it's just to find what exactly I must do. And for me, it's been a bit of a learning curve as well. And every day it's almost feeling a bit easier. Every time I go into a business meeting or any sort of meeting, it becomes a bit easier. The conversations become easier. And I think that is where I'm currently at. I'm at that development phase of my new life.
Yeah, it's amazing. how it's. I played a lot of tennis for a while, and I wasn't too bad at it. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm brilliant at it. And then my kids, my kids are doing taekwondo. I'm taking them to taekwondo. I think, I'm 55 years old. I'm looking at this and think, I'm here for the hour. Like, maybe I should get a private instructor. And a friend of mine is like an incredible, like, so competent in the space. And I think, okay, look, let me park the tennis for a while, and I'm going to take up taekwondo, and I'm going to see how far. I'm going to try for a month if it goes. So you go from a relative level of competence, relative, and now you're standing next to your 7-year-old and your 8-year-old with the same belt. It's a PhD in humility, I could tell you.
Yeah.
It's like when everyone say, what does it feel like? PhD in humility. It's downright embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's like downright embarrassing. And you've got 2 left feet, and you're uncoordinated, and it takes you double as long to learn, and you're stiff as a board. And it's amazing how going back to that level, like you're going from the top, and now you're in a different domain. You're starting at the bottom.
Yeah.
And it's hard.
It's hard work.
It's hard, but cheap as you grow. And so now I'm, let's say, 5, 6, 7 months in, and level of competency is improving slightly. I mean, I don't feel like it's a PhD. I feel like a master's degree in humility now. Yeah. So it's easing off. Yeah. But these hard things, they move us. And so many people are resistant to going down to the bottom and rolling up their sleeves and saying, I don't know anything about this, and I'm going to try every day, and I'm going to show up every day, and I'm going to try and learn as much as I can, and I'm going to go as far as I can. And I had a conversation 3-4 weeks ago with someone who's really senior in a consultancy firm, and they said, we don't try new things anymore. I don't want to be at the bottom.
And I think that's the scary thing about life. Like, every time you graft as much as you can to get to a certain point, starting over again must be the scariest thing in the world. And I mean, going through it at the moment, but it was scary 18 months ago. It's not scary anymore, like, because now I'm living it.
Exactly. And I think I said it on another podcast, but there was this like really interesting review. So it looked at 30,000 people over 20 years, very successful people, sportsmen, athletes, scientists, actors, directors, everyone in the public domain, and looking at success and what success looked like. And they're all high performers. You fit into that category. And what they discovered was a trend, is that most people are successful for 6 years.
Yeah.
That's it. And then they hold on as hard as they can for that 6 years. And when I was this and when I was that. And it wasn't even, some people didn't even have 6 years. Some people had 3.7 to 5.7 years, but plus minus. And then there was a subset, 2 to 9% of these individuals, only 2 to 9%, who had multiple strings. They would have this 6-year success, they'd go through a little reimagination, reinvention, and come out have another 6 years.
Yeah.
Reimagine, reinvention, another 6 years. So they had multiple hot streaks. And what they found was that the differentiator was that these individuals, at the top, they would say, guys, I'm going to start again. Yeah. What can my life be? Who can I be? And at the top, they start to relook and reinvent themselves.
Yeah. And like, ask the question, what's the next thing? And it probably excites them.
It excites them, and they're okay with going into the darkness, as you described. And I don't feel we can be the best version of ourselves unless we go into the darkness.
Yeah, I think for me, like, you mentioning reinventing yourself or living at that successful for 6 years. I don't want to be the guy that sits here in 10 years and I still only talk about my success as a Springbok rugby player. Like, you want to sit in 10 years and go, listen,
once upon a time I played rugby.
Yeah, but I built this business and then I sold it, then I started again and I sold it. Like, I think that's where, as I mentioned, like, your multiple identities, it comes into that. Like, you don't want to just be known for one thing, because then you're going to get stuck in that for the rest of your life. But if you got multiple things that you're interested in and building on and trying to, like, for now that's like, this is my next chapter, this is where I'm going to grow in. When I reach my peak, it's like, okay, cool, what's next? And then you go back into that darkness. That sounds like a fun life, to be honest. Like, it doesn't sound like too much of a.
It's unequivocally a fulfilling and rewarding life, unequivocally. But you can take so much of what you learned in rugby and apply it. Do you feel that a lot of the lessons? I mean, we've talked about a lot of the lessons applied to the new chapters and going into the abyss of what's not known. Are there elements that don't carry over? What carries over? What doesn't carry over?
Yeah, I think sport and rugby in general it's got a lot of similar lessons when it comes to the way that you operate. Rugby, we've treated rugby as a business, so it was always it's your job. It's not your hobby no more. It's something you need to do and you need to excel in and to create the desired outcome. So I think a lot of the lessons that we learned from rugby is translatable into any other thing that you're trying to achieve in life. If it's training for a marathon, for instance, the sacrifice, the ownership of your time, the time management, it becomes part of that thing that you're trying to excel at. So, and then vice versa, what you're learning in business can be translated back into sport. So I think the only thing that changes is the terminology and the way we speak about it. But if you got the right mindset and you know that this what I'm going through now, I've experienced it before in life. I've experienced the unknown and the sacrifice that I'm experiencing with the business world. I've experienced that before in rugby, and I've found a solution in rugby. So now I just need to find that similar solution for the work I'm doing in business.
Are you not sending a message though? And the message is back yourself.
No, big time.
You know, it's like to anyone who's listening, anyone who's going through transition, anyone who's moved from one profession, doesn't know what happens next. And what I hear from that is back yourself.
You'll find the answer if you back yourself, 100%. But yeah, and I think probably one of the toughest things for me coming from rugby, to be honest, is it was scheduling. And I jokingly talk about it quite often, is when we played rugby, we got handed a piece of paper and said, listen, this is what you wear, this is where you need to be, this is the time slot that you need to be there. And the first thing that happened when I retired is I didn't get that.
Your wife didn't give it to you?
No, I didn't get sent that schedule. And then I started realizing, I need to fill my own schedule. And then that's when you start, like, you're putting yourself out there. Then you start reaching out to clients or to whomever, and you start filling your calendar to a point where it was almost overkill. Now I'm doing too much, but it was that was the one thing that I like when people say, like, what didn't you learn from rugby? It was like filling your calendar, because in rugby it's like it's any business, like you have to be certain places and your boss tells you, okay, cool, this is where X, Y, and Z happens. And that was the one thing that I had to learn for myself. Luckily I could book a flight and buy my own clothes. Like, I had that skill set.
It brings me to the final question of today. And the final question is, what's harder for you? Letting go of who you were or building who you are now? Probably
building who I am now will be harder. I think letting go of who I was inevitable. It was always going to happen. Like, I was going to retire at some stage out of rugby. I was going to try and find something new that excited me, created a bit of a fulfilling life. So I think who I'm trying to be now is harder. It's every day. Yes, I don't want to fail as a businessman. Like, that goes through my head. I want to grow. I want to keep working. I want to create success. Taking on new projects. So for me, it's harder, and it's a more consistent thing that I need to focus on. Letting go of my rugby career, my rugby past has become much easier over time. As I mentioned earlier, I still miss it dearly, and I still want to be very involved. But building who I am is more important, and it's much harder. So, yeah, I think I always get excited about the future. I don't really think much of the past, and I've always been like that now.
You know, there was in tennis, there was a belief system, and it's you're operating on that belief system now. And the belief system was just show up. The guys who show up to every tournament, doesn't matter who they are, end up with the opportunities. And it's a thing in life that if we are uncertain and we feel a little bit insecure and we don't understand the landscape and it seems a bit vague, and sometimes we just retreat. And I'm talking emotionally, I'm talking mentally, I'm talking even physically. And I think another message that's come through our conversation today is just show up. Just be there, take it all on and see where it takes you.
One of the lessons that's standing out, like while we're talking about it, is we always had the next job mentality. And what that meant in rugby was, and similar in life, is you can't dwell on the past. You can't dwell on the knock-on you made. You can't dwell on the fact that you gave away a penalty. It's like the question is asked, like, we are here now. What's the next thing I need to focus on? And sometimes for me in life as well, is like you miss out on a deal or you screw up an interview and you go, I can't dwell on that. I need to focus on how I can do it better next time, or what is the next task at hand. And sometimes when you struggle to let go of the past, I think that bites you a little bit, and it doesn't get your energy and your focus back onto what you're actually trying to achieve in life. And that was such a, like, as we're talking about it, like another lesson that just popped into my head. And
was that part of the Stormers and
it's just part of
the rugby
ecosystem? Every single team I've ever worked with had that same mentality.
And it's powerful because you can't control anything. Anything happened a moment ago is out of your control.
Exactly.
Anything that's going to happen, you have influence. I don't know control, but certainly influence what happens next. Got some rapid fire. So yes. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. You've been there before many, many times, I'm sure. First word that comes to mind. Well, first thing that comes to mind. It doesn't have to be one word. I don't think anyone's stuck to a word. All right. The injury, one word.
Setback.
Worst pre-match meal you've ever been served at a hotel?
Dry pasta.
Sounds terrible. What did the Springbok environment teach you about winning?
Ownership.
You mentioned that a few. I like it. Bomb squad beer. The most absurd thing you've had to learn since you started?
Rolling with the punches.
What are you learning right now that you're bad at?
Marketing.
What part of yourself are you finally meeting now?
The guys willing to adapt. Yeah.
So the podcast is known as Shift Happens. It's a play on words, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's also it's about your story. It's about transformation. If I say shift happens to you, how do you connect it? What does it mean to you?
Yeah, like for me, it's just things happen in your life and that you sometimes don't even have control of, and it's how quickly you can adapt and change and get your mind back on task. So when shift happens, it's happening, and it's just how you react to it.
Stephen, it was incredible. It was so great to spend time with you, so great to get to know you a little bit better, and wishing you, I have no doubt you're going to be stratospherically successful, but wishing you just so much success in the future.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for being. There have been so many profound takeaways from this conversation with Stephen. It's been hard to identify my top 3. But what really stands out is the idea of doing hard things. In life, we tend to seek comfort, and as a consequence, we stagnate. The second idea was to create multiple identities, not to limit ourselves in one area of growth. And the third is to embrace change. Change imposed is stressful, but change on our terms is liberating. It's inspiring, it's invigorating. Be on the front end of change. So my call to action, over the next 30 days, identify one area of your life that you've been avoiding or find hard. Name it, and then move towards it. You'll be surprised how this will shift you. Join me for the next podcast and keep shifting.
Shift Happens is a First Light and Prime Media collaboration. This episode was produced by Grant Jensen and Kaylee Cruiser and filmed by Stephen Phillipson.